Let me call my brother, not my brother, because they told him, well, that niggas we not brothers. Yeah. I don't love them. Yeah, 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 yeah. Got nothing to do right now, so let's catch up on some of these current events. Hey, 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 hey. What is the latest and the greatest? Y'all come on in. Listen, if you would like to support the podcast, the way you can do that is become a subscriber. It is 99 cents a month. Please, if you would. Or you could buy stars, donate, Cash App, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Share the screen. Let's see. Obviously, the topic dominating the nation right now is what's going to happen on November 1st. And so let's see what this is. Make sure this is not the same from tomorrow. This is new. I think it's maybe because I think Governor Masters was down in.
We've seen real disasters. This is something we can avoid.
All right, something's not quite right here. Something's not quite right. Somebody should have said, "Hey, you don't sound right, big dog."
Big dog. They should have said, "You don't sound right." Let's go back and see if this is better.
We've seen real disasters. This is something we can avoid.
Okay, this sounds like it's from yesterday. I'm looking for some new updated news. I wasn't watching. Did the government have they started the government back up running or not? Or are we still in the shutdown status? And if we are, how long will this continue? All right, let's pull up this search right here. Let's search. Of course, we talked about yesterday that they activated this state fund, and I was thinking that the fund had money in it, but it obviously didn't. So hopefully they'll update us to what's happened over the last 24 hours when it comes to this fund. Let's see. Boom. Hey, and don't forget, tomorrow night is the Andrews High School football game down there down at Philip Simmons. Yeah, I don't see anything new. I just see where the fund was activated at. And if your church is planning to do something or your organization is planning to do something, you're only sad for the older folks. You don't think these mothers with children, you're not going to be sad for them either? And I'm not trying to shame you. If you don't not sad for them, you're just not sad for them. I can't say I don't understand. I think that's the reality that a lot of people are coming to, is that you know, especially folks that are out here struggling and they don't qualify for those you had to get it out of the mud. And that's what a lot of people are saying. That's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying, um, and I guess that, and I mean that's in regards to the quote unquote able-bodied folks. Is that like, what were you thinking? Would you thought this was going to last forever? Some people are literally in a position where they can't care. They don't have a, you know what I mean? They can't afford to care. You know, they got to worry about keeping the food on their table, which brings up another question about what would this look like? You know what I mean? Because again, you see all of the crazy stuff on the internet where people talking about what they're going to do if they can't get food and all this other stuff. And I made the comment last night to those who thinking, well, okay, if you think it's just going to be that easy to just take from, you may be able to go into these stores and get away with it, but people are going to be on high alert. And I remind you, this is an open carry state, and so you know, I just wish people would invest more time in trying to solve their issues, their problems, as opposed to you know, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, well, we just gonna take it from somebody else. And that's a big problem with the streets today. That's a big problem in the streets out in the streets today, is there's just a lack of disrespect sometimes. A lot of times, most times, you know, you hear about these shootings, and a lot of times you don't know what happened. You just think it's just two fool people shooting at each other, or one fool person just lost his money. And at the end, and when you start digging down into some of these subjects, and I'm not saying this to justify why things are happening, but I'm saying this is why things are happening. And it's because people don't have a problem doing people dirty. You know, they don't mind pushing it with people. And then again, it's tough out here right now for everybody. For everybody. You know, but if you're one of these people who well, I think the don't abuse it part of it has already, that's, you can't even put that toothpaste back in the tube. That's out of the thing. And some people, to the point where it's been a culture, you know what I mean? Culturally, their mama had it, their grandma had it, their mama, you know what I mean? And so I've met people who find it, like, they find it obnoxious, the idea of having to go in the store and spend their money on food. I've talked to people like this. I've heard people say this, like, I'm not spending my money, you know, like, who else money you supposed to be spending? Those are the people that I don't feel sorry for. The people that with that entitled mindset. And I mean, you can't just keep kicking this thing down the road. At some point, you know, that bill's gonna come due. And for the longest, we've been comfortable with kicking it down the road to the next generation. We don't have to deal with it. Kick it down the road to the next generation. I often listen to people say how, oh, America is the worst country. You know, now keep in mind, these people never lived in another country or even visited another country for a significant amount of time where they can give you a legitimate compare and contrast of what it is to live in America. Lived in America their whole life, never lived no place else but America, ain't been no place but America is the worst place in the world. It's mind blowing. But then when I look at the way these groups, these organizations, these nonprofits, these churches are starting to mobilize now to fill in the gap. You know, unfortunately, a lot of us think the government is our daddy. A lot of us think the government actually has money. The government doesn't work anywhere. The government takes money from you and me. So the idea that government is the solution is just, so when people talk about socialism and capitalism, socialism is that idea that the government, everybody is going to be taken care of by the government. And throughout history, socialism has not worked. Throughout history, it's led to death and destruction. Every time you go look at it and study it and follow it down, but yet that's what we're still pushing. No, the government's gonna step in and save us because the government has these resources. I heard a stat the other day. They were talking about how they say the government's $3 trillion in debt. If you spent $1 trillion right now, if you started spending $1 trillion, if you started spending $1 a day and you had $1 trillion, it would take you 33,000 years to spend all that money. 33,000 years. Let me make sure I quote that right, because the number was crazy like that, but that sounds about right. But let me see here. It would take you. Oh, I was so wrong that it was just. I was so I was. That was the number that I gave you guys was just completely wrong, 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 wrong. So let's look at this figure right here. And so I want you to keep this in mind when they talk about, oh, we're such and such $1 trillion in debt. And, that number just sounds too big for me to even wrap my mind around. You know what I'm saying? $1 trillion. And so I always try to break it down to what they say, make it simple enough for a fifth grader. Talk to me like I'm a fifth grader or something like that. Fourth grader or something like that. All right, let's see what we come up with here. Why are you doing that? All right, let's do this. There you go. All right, so there it is. Start with the amount. Start with a total amount of $1 trillion, right? And that's what $1 trillion looks like. 12 zeros. And it says here, if you spend $1 per day, I said 33,000. And that 33,000 wasn't even close. 33,000 was not even nowhere close. This is how long it would take you to spend that money. It did a math problem, gave me a little bit more information than I wanted. But the answer to the question is, how long would it take you to spend $1 billion if you spent $1 a day? Right? Spend $1 trillion, excuse me. There it is. So it would take you 2.7 billion years to spend $1 trillion at $1 per day. 2.74 billion years, not million years, not 100 years, not 33,000 years, like I said. That's how big that number is. So how long do you think that can keep going? And some of you like, man, I don't care nothing about that. I just want my food stamp. That's why you should care about things like that. Maybe you could see these things coming down the pipe if you. All right, I got something here for you guys. Let's see what we got.
First up,
More than 250,000 households in South Carolina are being asked to brace for impact as their Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits are set to expire next month amid the ongoing
I don't think they're being asked to brace for income. I think they're being warned that they should brace for income.
federal government shutdown. On October 10th, the U.S. Department of Agriculture instructed the South Carolina Department of Social Services to hold SNAP benefits, informally known as food stamps, for more than 260,000 households in November, unless Congress reaches a resolution that reopens the government. SNAP provides food benefits to low-income families and is America's most extensive nutrition assistance program. While the department continued SNAP benefits,
So if you were a person that abused the system, do you feel bad about this? I mean, you were part of creating the problem. Do you feel bad about it? Just a question. Just a question.
through October in South Carolina, it now warns that because benefits will shut off as the Thanksgiving holiday approaches, recipients should consider utilizing food banks. In the event the shutdown ends, the department said it would look to the USDA for guidance on how to disperse future SNAP benefits, which may include
How many people gonna go hungry because they got too much pride to go to the food bank? How many of y'all think?
full or partial payments. In the meantime, however, SNAP recipients are encouraged to carefully budget any remaining funds on their EBT cards and to protect their benefits by
I mean, you should carefully budget all the time. They shouldn't have to tell you that during this time. Like, oh, don't even bring that up.
locking their EBT cards when not in use. I'm Kara Ellis. For the full story, go to thestate.com.
First up, the 1SC fund will be activated in response to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's decision to halt federal funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program effective November 1st. Also, Richland County Democrat Jermaine Johnson is announcing his bid for governor.
Yeah,
For
we
the
got to get
past
into old
8 years,
Jermaine.
Pastor Henry Prophet has led the Bread of Life Ministry food pantry in Florence. He says his team of volunteers are preparing for what could be their busiest day yet.
I am expecting an influx, an increase. I'm expecting that. And we're trying to get ourselves prepared for, I don't know to the degree of it, or the extent of it, but we are expecting an increase.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture says SNAP funding is scheduled to end Saturday, November 1st, due to the ongoing federal government shutdown. In response, Governor Henry McMaster activated the One South Carolina Fund through the Central Carolina Community Foundation and directed the State Guard to help food banks statewide.
This money that goes to the 1SC fund will go directly to
For the past 8 years, Pastor Henry Prophet has led
the food banks that we have that have been established for years.
The governor's office says 99% of donations will go to nonprofits and charities providing local assistance, with 1% dedicated to outreach and research. Bread of Life Ministry, located off Pamplico Highway, is a Harvest Hope partner agency that serves more than 120 residents every month. Pastor Prophet says November 1st will be a day many families feel
Do you
the
think
impact.
I mean, this money is gonna go to the food banks. You think that's gonna get, you don't think that's gonna be on a level? You think Yeah, and that's the story that I hear a lot. And I think again, maybe, after this shutdown, when they come back, they revamp this thing because people that paid into this system, all of their working years should be at the front of the line. I mean, if you kept your head down, you've been a loyal tax-paying citizen, productive citizen, not contributing, not causing any problems in your community for your community. Those are the people that should be, I think that's what the system was designed to protect, not facilitate, your poor decision making, whoever it is, when it comes to life choices like growing your family when you don't have the resources to grow your family. And this is not a new thing, man. I got a thing I did on YouTube from the 50s where they were talking about the welfare system, and it just seems to be never enough. Never enough. Never enough. I've been listening to this gentleman right here for the last, 10, 15 years. Him and another man by the name of, this guy right here, his name is Thomas Sowell. THOMASSOWELL. He's an economist. Him and this other man by the name of Milton Friedman. I've been really listening to them the last couple of years, studying, what they were talking about, and this problem of trying to fix this welfare thing has been, again, since the inception of the program. But here is Thomas Sowell right here.
Been speaking facts for a long time.
You would also have to agree that, generally speaking, women are paid less, for example, for the same jobs as men.
No, I would not. I would not agree with that.
Well, even as to single women, the Census Bureau statistics, the most recent ones I could find, 1978, say that single men are earning $11,100 and single women are earning $9,300.
Yes, I love the word single that is used. When I did my study, I didn't use single, I used never married. You see, a woman who is single at age 40, having spent 10 or 20 years raising children, is really not quite the same as a man of age 40 who's been working continuously for 20 years.
And the differential she cited is not that great, so it could easily be accounted for by the
Yes, because when I break them down the other way, I did this for the academic world, and there I...
When people say things like, the government has to do something, I say, have you ever studied what happens when the government does something compared to what happens when they don't do anything? For 150 years, the government of the United States did nothing when there was a depression. No depression during all those 150 years was ever as bad as the Great Depression of the 1930s, in which the government did more than it had ever done before.
And why I love folks like Mr. Sowell here is, these folks have done the work. They've done the research, and history is a great teacher. And the government's not our daddy. It's not our brother.
For in its entire history. When people say things like, the government has to do something, I say, have you ever studied what happens when the government does something compared to what happens when they don't do anything? For 150 years, the government of the United States did nothing when there was a depression. No depression during all those 150 years was ever as bad as the Great Depression of the 1930s, in which the government did more than it had ever done before. And it's
that you got to respect. Is it hopeless, or can people change their minds? Clarence Thomas changed his mind.
Yes.
You changed your mind.
Oh yes, I was a Marxist.
Until what age?
During the McCarthy era.
You were Marxist during the McCarthy era. Well,
Always
at
out
least you
of
know how to
step.
pick your enemies.
Yeah.
Well, what changed your mind?
Facts.
All Is it hopeless, or can people? Our friend Jason Riley. Is it hopeless, or can people change their minds? Clarence Thomas changed his mind.
Yes.
You
Brilliant guy right there. Thomas Sowell. Take some time and go and look at the thing. All right, what are you saying here? That's true. Women make less. I assure you. I went to the top. I work hard. I assure you. I make good money, but I've been homeless. And what Thomas Sowell was saying is that whenever we start saying women or men make more, you have to consider, the fact that, like you said, when you do that study, if a woman spent major part of her life raising children, and then she enters the workforce, of course, she's not going to make the same as a man. But if you take a woman who has spent the same amount of time in the workforce, you'll find that they not only make the same, but in a lot of cases, they make more. That's just, and there's empirical data to back that up. That's just not me, saying that. Let's see what you got saying here. And your son is biracial. What's that mean? Why does that? And I don't sign for others. We can get stamps. As long as I can feed them, I'm good. I think that's probably the best. People lie. There's no major discovery right there. That's what people do. You know what I mean? But I've always been more concerned about what I do as opposed to what people do. You can't control what people do. You can only control what you do. You know what I mean? And I like the fact that you said before you take the stamps, you do what you got to do to feed your son. Abuse of the system is why we are here. Well, yeah, that's pretty accurate assessment of that. But the system in itself, it lends itself to this corruption. You got a system that's supposed to be there to help somebody get a leg up, right? But the system says to this person, hey, you're good as long as you stay in this economic range right here. Now, if you happen to move a couple dollars above that, not thousands of dollars, but if you move a couple dollars above that, we're going to remove the help. And then you end up back in the same spot. So it's almost better to just not, if possible. I don't know what your situation is, but to not even engage that system. It encourages a young woman to lean on the system and not her and the person that she made this baby with figure it out. Because they gonna figure it out. I don't care what people say. They will figure it out. They will figure it out. And if they don't, then they'll starve. I don't think that's yeah, that's when you incentivize bad behavior. When I reward you for bad behavior. When I incentivize you to race to the bottom. Don't try to get up above this. Don't try to make this X amount of dollars. If not, you're gonna lose it. And I've been in management positions where I'm processing somebody in, a new employee in and told flat out, look, here is the hours that I can work. I can't go above that, and say it just like that. I can't go above that. If so, they'll take and so they get you comfortable living at below the poverty line. And then what happens? You become dependent on that. So, don't know why, don't know how. Not here to judge. I'm just saying that that system is diabolical, to say the least. Diabolical. I feel bad for those who can't feed their families. And I mean, we got to be honest and say that this is not a surprise. It's not like during the election when people cared not to engage or cared not to hear what was going on. This was all being said. I've said it on this podcast numerous times. So, I mean, it is your responsibility to take care of yourself. And again, it's not like this was, I don't know if people didn't believe them or they don't, you know what I mean? They think, they're gonna somehow, pull it together, and they may, you know what I mean? I may get off here and look back and say, hey, the government's back running, everything's popping, because I know there's a concern about the air traffic controllers and the folks, some military folks not getting their money, not getting paid. Now they will be recouped once the government finally opens up in that back pay, but what good is that to get a lump sum when you buried in debt right now? And you just want to call JG Wentworth because you need cash now. JG Wentworth 877. Yeah. So, but I don't know. We'll see. And again, just prepare yourselves. You know what I mean? Stock up. If you have the ability to go pull about a month's worth of food around your house, stock up so you don't have to go out there, because if it's like people say it's gonna be, or these people are saying they're gonna do, it's gonna be chaotic, and you don't want to be out there in the middle of that. You don't want to be out there in the middle of that. So just think about that. Won't save this, but I've seen people who could feed a family, but people on Social Security ain't even got SNAP. It's gonna be rough and tough, and I guess that's what I don't know. So it's gonna be rough and tough. That's why elections have consequences. Okay, so elections have consequences. That's why you got to pay attention, because it's gonna affect you. That don't affect me. I don't care what they're doing. Man, bump them up there. I don't even get stressed out about it. Okay, don't. So when we find ourselves in situations like this, remember that. Remember, you didn't want to be engaged. You don't care what's going down. You don't care that Scott Harper is engaged in censorship. I mean, flat out, hardcore censorship. One-way conversation. Take it. But anyway. I guess I can stop being juror number 222. I guess I can stop that now. Who the cap fits? Who don't care? Don't hate nobody. You can disagree, strongly disagree with him, but don't hate. Don't hate. It's because it's gonna hurt you more than it will him. It will hurt you more than it does him. Somehow it works out that way. Don't ask me how, but somehow it works out that way. Let's see if I got my girl up here. I don't. I do not. Anyway, let me go, man. I need to. Still kind of early, so cool. Need to get some stuff done here and some editing and get prepared for this weekend. So, again, tomorrow night, Andrews High School will be down at Philip Simmons for the last regular season game of the year. And then we'll see what happens from there. If you would like to support the podcast, consider becoming a subscriber. It's only 99 cents a month. It's like $12 a year. And we could definitely use the support. Okay.